Right. So whatever I am going to show you, this is a document, something relating to communication plan. Because we have discussed about communication, we have discussed about governance, benefit management, right? So we have discussed about stakeholder, all that. But the scenarios we have discussed so far, and as well as the explanation was given all these days. When it comes to the documentation part, because being a program management team or a program manager, one should able in a position to understand the document part end of the day. Because unless until if you are not familiar on these documentations and whatever the conclusions you have made so far, that information has to be updated on the document for the benefit of people to understand more better. Unless we don't prepare documentation, then there will be of no value for that. You know that well. Hence, today I'm going to explain about the communication plan, program management communication plan. Wherein this program management communication plan, being a program management team or a program manager, need to explain about the overview part of the program management. This overview part majorly focusing on the communication strategy of an overall program. What is that we are going to perform? Now, communication strategy, if you understand communication strategy from the context of, let me underline this point so that you will be understood well. Okay, this is what generally communication strategy stands for. Just a minute. Yeah, so this is where generally, yeah, I can put it on the brown color, right? This is where generally communication strategy of overall program is all about. Means what kind of communication strategy do we follow? These strategies may have differences. Strategy, it could be a verbal communication. What is that we follow? Sometimes, not all the times. Sometimes we prepare written communication. This is also one of the strategy which normally we follow. At the same time, visual medium, whatever the visual process do we require to follow, if there is any kind of diagrams to be prepared for that, if any requires, right? So these are the different communication strategies. One, being a program manager, we need to understand and has to perform it. So in connection to that, being a program management team, one should able in a position to understand about the communication strategy, what is that we follow, and how this communication strategy works, or how this communication strategy performs. All these things comes under this communication strategy part. So this is not something relevant to a particular program or particular project. This is something relating to the multiple programs which are under the multiple projects which are under the program part. So this communication strategy not only providing about the communication system or the medium we follow, at the same time we need to provide an information flow, right? So how this information flows between the components from the components of the programming level, that also to understand with, because people who are working on to program management team, one should able in a position to understand about the information flows between the components or from the components to the program level, all that, because there are different hardware and software components will be using while we are working on the program, right? For example, if you take a project, let's say a cloud-based point of sale system as a project, there are two different components you can see. One component is called hardware component and second component is called software component. Hardware components, nothing but barcode readers, scanners, all these things comes under hardware component. But whereas when it comes to the software component, doesn't mean whatever the payroll management system or the inventory management system which are interconnected and interrelated to the cloud-based point of sale system comes under software components. So the information flow, how these software components were interconnected, this is also something one should able in a position to visualize it. Because, for example, when we want to use a cloud-based point of sale system as an example I'm taking, because without taking an example, it would be difficult for me to relate, even to understand for you as well. So if you take cloud-based point of sale system, if you want to get an accurate results on the screen, what is that you require? You need to have a requirement in reference to the interconnectivity of the kind of inventory management system which must be connecting to that. That is essentially required. If you don't have an interconnectivity, what will happen now? If you don't have it, there is a possibility where you may not be getting the accurate results of the products on the screen of a POS, on the POS screen. So this is where generally the information flows, where we need to understand about the kind of components, from the components to the programming level, is what one should understand. So for that, there are different tools we use. Something like StarUML is one kind of tool which I'm showing you here now. Okay, I'll be showing on a practical note so that you'll be understood much better this part, right? So because this is something relating to the information flow between the components, I'm just using that StarUML software. So this StarUML is a kind of software which is being used to visualize the process. Whatever the process do we have, to visualize that, this is the one which we use. In this add diagram, you can see there is an option called component diagram. You can see here, right? So component diagram, where different components can be used. For example, barcoder, right? So for example, barcode is what generally the component we have taken. Okay, barcode is what the thing we have taken. At the same time, we have taken one more component which is called a scanner, right? Scanner for the products. So these are the two different hardware components which are something related for that. Now, for example, if you want to create the kind of interfaces, what is that we are following under here? These interfaces may be something like the cloud-based point of sale system, whatever the interfaces do we have, is something relating to that. Now, when we're talking about the kind of interfaces, what is that we have in reference to the cloud-based point of sale system, where here you can see there is a dependency which is involved in it. Because unless until if there is no barcode scanner was there, you can't do the process. That's what generally one has to be understood. At the same time, it's not only barcode scanner, even barcoder, it's all, you need to have the scanner as well. So there is a dependency which is involved here, which is called scanner. Right? So dependency which is called scanner here. So when we are talking about the components, either it could be a hardware component or it could be a software component and all everything. So these components must be incorporated and these components can be used here accordingly. This is point number one. At the same time, there is a software component which I am saying, which I am mentioning here, called inventory system. Okay, inventory management system I'm taking. Right, so inventory management system is what I have taken here. But one software component, whatever the components I was mentioning you, these are the software components, inventory management system. At the same time, not only inventory management system, you need to have payroll management system as well. Because unless until if there is no payroll management, how do you access the information of the employees who are logging into the application? Right, so these are the two things where you can see the kind of dependencies which are something interrelated or which are something related to this. Right, so this is where generally it is being dependent on. At the same time, even this payroll management system must be connecting with the kind of dependencies what we have in reference to the application, what is that we are performing here. So this is where generally these component diagrams and all everything can be prepared. So these component diagrams are the one which majorly explains us about the visualization process of an activity. What is that we are performing here? This is where generally in reference to the communication system itself is concerned, wherein one should be knowing about the information flow between the components what we are using. And at the same time, the kind of programming level, what are the different programs or the projects are we dealing with, and how are these hardware and software components are connecting one among all, should be mentioned here. This is what generally an overview. When we're talking about the communication plan will be derived and as well as divided into two different parts. The kind of communication strategy, what is that we are following for communicate among the team in reference to the program management itself is concerned. Followed by this, how this information flows between components. Either it could be in hardware or software components where we are taking cloud-based point of sale system as an interface. How these work, that information flow is going on and all everything. So that will be explained in a document format, right? So because whatever the diagram I have shown you in a visualized format I have shown you, usually this will be done by the technical people, you know, this because deployment diagram or component diagrams, all that stuff. So based on the diagram, what is that they have prepared and all that document part of information to be updated under the overview in the first section. Next, in the second section, we need to mention about the kind of outlines of the escalation process, if any, right? So because whatever the kind of communication activities we are going to perform or we are going to follow, one should be able in a position to understand as well as the escalating of the communication processes here. Because this escalation process depends on the kind of hierarchy, what is that we follow, and how this hierarchical process and all everything is going on is what one should understand. At the same time, followed by this, is there is any kind of feedbacks or suggestions given by the team members and all everything, or else if there is any kind of tickets was raised by the team members to resolve those queries. At the same time, the kind of interviews, what is that we have taken, or the kind of articles, what is that we have handled so far. All that will be mentioned under the escalation and feedback part. So overview section, which majorly focusing on the communication of the overall program, all that stuff. When we talk about escalation and feedback and all, it majorly focusing on the escalation process of the communication activities, which are essentially important with. After that, when we're talking about the responsibility and authority, here we need to explain about the kind of type of communication activities as we have already discussed earlier. One should be able in a position to understand about the kind of people who are responsible for that. Because responsibility of the people, this is where generally one has to mention who are responsible for the deeds, whatever is happening in reference to the communication. All that things has to be conducted under the responsibility and authority part. So please do remember, Hassan, this is an information we need to write from our own understandings. This is nothing to do with any, of course, we don't do copy and paste, but based on interactions what we had, based on the notes, what is that we prepare over a period of time, because regular, usually, especially into the management context, normally, we prepare our own understandings based on the interaction we had with different people in different means of communication. We prepare our own set of information and final conclusions. So based on that, relevant documentation and all, everything has to be prepared. So whatever the information I may say you, this information out of the observation what we have, out of the information what is that we have gathered, finally this information has to be updated here. This is where generally this responsibility followed by authority and all everything come into picture. Next, here you need to focus on the communication activities. Communication activities will be categorized into different columns. What are those communication activities? And who are these are the targeted people? What are the purposes of that? When are we doing this? At the same time, type of method, are we going to conduct any kind of meetings or any kind of group discussions? All that information has to be updated here, right? So here, program kickoff meeting. Now, can you tell me who comes under, to whom are we targeting in reference to program kickoff meeting? What's your answer for that?
So who are we targeting for program kickoff meeting?
Yes, I'm asking you. Yes.
So
whom are we
for
targeting?
the program stakeholders, the project managers, obviously the program manager.
Anyone
Sorry?
is enough. Anyone is enough.
Right.
Stakeholders? Then, can I write as stakeholders?
Yes.
Okay. Stakeholders are the people who are the targeted. Now, for what purposes are we going to conduct this program kickoff meeting? What was the purpose behind that?
To provide an update that we've officially started this program.
Okay. To provide an update. To provide an update.
That we've officially started this program.
About the program official announcement. Okay,
Right.
official announcement. Now, how frequent are we going to do this? Means program kickoff meeting. Are we going to do this in regular intervals,
Uh,
or how frequent are we doing this?
so program kickoff meeting starts when the program starts, and then we have other kickoff meetings based on phases, but not program kickoff meeting. There will only be one program kickoff meeting per program.
Program kickoff meeting is only one accepted, but normally when we are in reality, when there are a lot of projects are running all that stuff, sometimes when and wherever it is required and needed, generally these kickoff meetings will be conducted. Understood, Hassan? Right?
Right.
Program meeting will be only one, which will be conducted initially to start with. But there is anything because everything we don't get conclusions, right? Because there will be some options where we don't get conclusions, all that stuff. So whatever is being concluded, okay. But if there are some positions where we need to understand about the deferred part, because some things will be something considered as deferred, all that stuff. This is where that's the reason why. So when and wherever it is needed is what I was mentioned. Otherwise, it is only once. Okay. Next type of meeting. What is that we are going to conduct is a meeting. Now the second communication activity called state gate review. Now who are the targeted people for that?
For state gate,
State
so
gate
these
review.
will be stage reviews. This will be the project sponsors,
Okay.
program sponsors.
Project sponsors and SRF.
Right.
Okay. Sponsor. Right.
So,
So
and then,
purpose. What was the purpose?
so the purpose is to provide an update that major milestone has been completed
Provide an update
on milestone completion.
on milestones. Right. Next, how frequent are we doing this?
So we are doing this every time we meet the like a phase end and a new phase starts. Every time we achieve a milestone, we do this meeting. Hello?
Yeah, I'm writing here. I'm not saying it. I'm
Right,
writing.
right.
I have to write, right? Next, this is also the way of meeting we are going to conduct this.
Right.
Now, the next point is program component status reports and review. To whom are we targeting this?
Program status needs to go with the project manager.
Project management team, right? So program
Yeah.
is program management team. Okay. I'm just mentioning it as team. What was the purpose for this?
The purpose is to provide
To
sort of
update
an
the,
update. Yeah.
the components, whatever is completed. Okay.
Right.
Next, how frequent is this?
This
The
can be
deadlines,
this can be weekly or monthly based on.
monthly I can, weekly components can't be, monthly I can say, monthly once.
Okay.
Once in a month. Okay. This is also type of meeting we are going to conduct. Next, component status meetings. This is also the same, right? So these people are the same. Same people. Same people will be involved here. So component status meetings to know about the status of the components. Okay. Now, so when are we going to conduct this? Whenever it is needed, right? So because
Right.
Never know when the component status and all everything, whenever it is needed. That's what I was mentioning here. Next, this is also meeting kind of. Now, sub-team working meetings or discussions. This is for technical team. This is for the technical team. What was the purpose of this? What was the purpose of this?
This one is which meeting?
Sub-team working meeting or discussions.
This one is with the functional team, right? The functional managers, the architect.
Mentioning all technical team, functional, everybody in that. Everyone.
Right.
Simple. Implementation team. I can say simply implementation team. Simple. What was the purpose behind that?
So the purpose is alignment to ensure that whatever is being planned technically is being achieved, and if there's any gaps,
Okay. Alignment.
what needs to be
Okay.
done. Right.
When how frequent is this we do?
Need based, or it can also be at a regular cadence.
Need based I can mention. Next type of, is this a meeting? It's a GD, right? It's a kind of GD, which is called group discussion kind of stuff. Now sponsor meeting. And this is with the project sponsor. Right? This is with the project sponsor. Purpose is to, what was the purpose behind project sponsor meeting?
The purpose is to provide update to sponsor on project status, implementation, ROI, budget, securities, policies.
ROI, etc. Okay. Next, this is in the beginning. Okay. Next, this is type of meeting we are going to conduct. Okay. Now, steering committee.
Steering committee.
Steering committee members. Whoever are there.
Steering.
Whoever are there.
They are right. They're the steering committee is portfolio manager.
Whoever. Project steering committee
stakeholders.
members. They could be anyone.
Right. Right.
Next. Purpose.
To discuss any change orders, changes in budget, project status.
Any major changes. I'm writing. Okay. Okay. When? Frequency. When?
The frequency is on a regular cadence for this one because they're difficult to schedule meetings with them. So
When it is
monthly.
needed. Program review.
Program review every quarter. This is with the
Who are the target?
program review, steering committee, portfolio managers.
Steering committee. Simple. Okay. Next, purpose. Program review purpose.
Program review to
status.
Yeah, status
Of the schedule.
Right.
Okay. When it is needed. And meeting. Next, periodical demos and target presentations. This is for end users. And stakeholders.
Right.
Okay. Purpose.
Purpose is to provide changes in
about the workflows and process.
Right.
Okay. when and wherever it is needed.
Required. Right.
This is not a meeting, this is a presentation. Presentation on boardroom or something like that. Okay, I'm just writing it. Next, communication to components, team members. It will be ended in another 10 minutes. If it was disconnected, please join again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, carry on. You carry on. Communication to components and team members. Who are it? Communication to components and team members. This is for
Components and
technical team. This is for the technical team,
technical team.
right? So, purpose. What is the purpose behind this?
So,
Explain
like
about
go in the details.
the list of components that are using. Okay. Next, this is when it is needed. Okay. I'm just mentioning it when it is needed. Next, this is a meeting we are going to connect. Okay. Program level issues, risks and as well as escalations. Program level issues.
So a lot of these meetings have same people or almost similar
Different people.
discussions.
Many, because few points you can see same people, right? For example, steering committee will be involved in few
Right.
things. Stakeholders will be involved in few. Project management team will be involved in something. Okay, that's how it is, right?
So do you keep, for example, the scope of the meeting specific to what you want to talk about, and then not, for example, if there's a change order and and there's a review, we don't go into
Change order
until
request has a different form altogether. You have a change order request as a different form. This is what generally change order request form is. For change order request, this is what generally we use.
So what I'm trying to say is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you want to keep each meeting specific to the agenda and
So
not
this
talk
is
about?
this is to do with the complete communication plan over the program. This is not specified something relating to any single requirement or single change. What is that we are doing as separate? Understood?
Right.
Right. So program level issues when and wherever it is needed. Right. Rollout change and deployment announcements. This is with change management team. At the same time, deployment team. Okay. To know about the process layouts. Program, if any. So it will be discussed, followed by meeting. Next, program decisions, right? So when we're talking about program decisions, this is with program and as well as at the same time project management team. Okay, that's what I can say, right? To know about the decisions that we have about to decide, okay, during the phase of program. Okay, that's what it is. Next, program decisions. When the decisions being taken, okay, this will be conducted as a meeting. Now, lessons learned. Now you tell me, lessons learned. To all the stakeholders, okay, during the progress of work, when it is needed, right? So this is a kind of meeting we conduct and will be updated, followed by this some document if it is required, some documentation if it is required, okay, which is optional. Next, reviews about the program performance, benefit realization, risk, change, request, and resources. This you are discussing with the program managers as well as project management team. Now, this is to have an idea over the review on risk analysis, followed by if any change request we come across. This is where generally this change request document come into picture, right? So this is where generally this change request form will come into the picture. Usually this will be done by the BA team, all that. Those people will take care of that. Now, this is when it is required. At the same time, meeting followed by the documentations are. This is what generally the communication plan is all about, right? So this is what generally a program communication plan, which normally being a program management team, one has to prepare. Is it clear? Hassan? Hassan, is this clear or not?
So what about project ending?
This is a communication plan. This is not a project ending. The project management
No, so
plan and all.
in the communication plan, like project closure or something, shouldn't there be a meeting for that too? Like how there was project kickoff?
That we can write it on others. No problem.
Okay.
In others,
So
we
I
can
guess what I'm trying to say is,
I
for
understood.
like this document is not one and done, right?
Yes.
So
This is
so we will have more things as we go into the program.
yes.
How do we add those into this?
Here you can add the depends on the requirements and all. We need to add the details and all. That's it. Because whatever I was mentioned you, those are the important ones I have mentioned you. Even project closure, if there is any kind of changes and all, the same thing will be applied by going through the change order request and all. We do the necessary changes and that will be communicated in the document here. That's how we do.
Okay, I'm just saying because once this document is usually created, it's signed and countersigned by everyone. So in real case scenario, once the document is signed and everything, we find, let's say we need another communication or meeting during the program starts. So how do we add that into this document?
So this is the document we are preparing, wherein you have to add document revision history on top of it. Document revision history.
Right.
Means if there is any kind of changes there, you can update and you can make the necessary changes here according. That we can do it.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Clear?
Right.
Clear, Hassan?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. This is all for today, and tomorrow we discuss about one more document.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will you be sharing this document?
Why? Yeah. Yes. I'll be sharing.
And then I didn't get to download the session from the 6th March.
I will see. I will update.
Okay. And
Thank
then you also have to share the other documents as well.
I will show you. I will do that. Tomorrow I'll do that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.